the greatest heroes and villains of the DC universe, immeasurable power at their fingertips. Who needs all that? More trouble than it's worth. Better to do it my way, the spamming one move till you win way. Let's take this time-honored strategy and put it to the test in Injustice's story, as I strive to beat the whole game with only one move, down heavy attack. I'm allowed to block, but in no other way am I allowed to deal damage, except for the rare minigames, as those have nothing to do with the regular form of play, and will force heavy damage on you if you don't play along. I will be playing on medium difficulty, as there's no chance of me beating even the first fight on anything higher. Now let's go ignore the character assassinations of our beloved heroes, and focus on what's really important. Breaking everyone's knees! As one of the world's greatest strategists and martial artists, Batman is going to need everything in his arsenal to beat the world's greatest assassin, Deathstroke. But that's just what he wants us to think. Despite having a brain that is supposedly 9 times superior to regular humans, Deathstroke can't seem to grasp the genius of my tactics. Luthor's shiny bald head serves as the first minigame as I chuck batarangs into it, since he fails to understand what sprinting is. I really appreciate, despite how minor the explosions are, he keeps running back to the starting spot to try again, instead of, you know, conking me on the head. At first, the fight itself is quite simple, but Luthor begins to cheat by actually blocking and hitting me from afar. All very unfair practices, I'd say. He's lucky I win anyways, or I'd, well, have to restart, and I'd hate that. Time to get sucked into an alternate reality so I can 1v1 Joker and suffer my first 3 losses. Getting a pie to the face really hurts. I mean, I also got shot and blown up, but I really feel it was the pie that clinched it. I even have to restart once as I accidentally kick Joker into an invisible bouncy wall. Thankfully, I'm able to win when Joker keeps trying to Jason Todd me, leaving him open to literally the only move that I can do. Now to answer the question, who would win? One of the most powerful magical beings in all of existence? Or Green Lantern, without using his ring and just smashing her ankles? I think it's obvious, don't you? My fight with Sinestro, on the other hand, doesn't start off too great after receiving a chainsaw to my spine. Plus, he keeps floating slightly off the ground and smashing me with rocks. I more than deserve to lose, but Sinestro's brain appears to cease functioning, breaking our stalemate in my favor. Love it when brain damage from chucking a bus at him earlier finally catches up. Time to get my feet wet as Aquaman, and honestly, I wish I could stay as him all game. His Triton has fantastic reach and speed, making a very sad example out of the Flash. The fastest man alive can't seem to outthink or outmove getting his ankles pierced repeatedly in one of the easiest fights. But don't feel too bad for Flash, as Shazam, in all his godly powers, also can't seem to handle it. The only one I'm terrified of is me, but stronger, and has to be said, uglier. You know this is the evil Aquaman because he has a terrible beard, the true sign of wickedness. Doesn't stop him from absolutely destroying me by endlessly spamming the same cursed move over and over. How dare he? Spamming moves are for unskilled fighters and the weak-minded. Ergo, me. I might have won if he had higher standards for himself. Only by knocking him down, taking a few steps back to lure him closer, then repeating, am I able to actually bring my uglier doppelganger down. And I'm rewarded with the easiest enemy in the game, Ares, the war god himself. As I just recently reread the Percy Jackson books in excitement for the coming show, this is very therapeutic to beat the war god with absolutely no trouble. The game sensed things were going too well for me, so of course I become the Joker and get run over by the Batmobile. Of course Batman finally gets rid of the no-kill rule at the same time I play Joker. That's just my luck. Here's where things really pick up in difficulty. Hawkgirl and the worst looking Nightwing I've ever seen attack me, and both of them absolutely decimate me. Hawkgirl, being she has, you know, hawk wings, really doesn't make it easy to sweep her feet out from under her, and all the while is bashing my grin in with her massive mace. And Nightwing has both the speed and reach to make my life hell. I'm starting to think this challenge may have been a bad idea, but I don't spend too much time thinking that. Not because I win, but because it gets really hard to think between the eskrima sticks to the brain. I only survive because Nightwing misses me, then completely fails to block my repeated leg sweep. It is much more forgiving to play as Green Arrow, even if it means fighting Solomon Grundy, who never lets up with his grabby hands. It honestly feels like pure luck that I beat him a heartbeat from defeat. Same goes for Killer Frost. Who needs frost powers or undead strength when you have a bow? No arrows, just the bow. My luck doesn't hold up against Wonder Woman, who loves to float right above my kicking line, making it so I have to be right up against her to do anything. And the thing about being that close, it really makes it easy for her to smash me into every single hard object in this frickin' Batcave. The only reason I managed to beat her is when she switches to sword stance, she kindly stops floating, taking away her main advantage over me. If you don't count having powers and a full range of moves, that is. Not that having godly powers strong enough to knock out my entire team in one move is enough to stop me, the man with the bow, from easily beating Black Adam. It helps that he insists on trying to throw his electric ball at me no matter how many times I interrupt him. I suppose when you have godlike powers, the creative and logical parts of your brain just cease to function. I never had those parts working in my brain, so I'm used to it. As Cyborg, I find it to be quite an easy experience with his leg kick being quite fast, though I do have to contend with getting hit by a frickin' laser-powered nuke. But 'tis just a flesh wound. Catwoman's claws do more damage than that huge explosion did. That feeling of ease vanishes when I face my evil counterpart, and he splats me all over the room. I'm overjoyed, though, when I block his super attack and get him to the last of his health, only for him to say, he's good, and crush me into little cyborg bits. Not cool. Coming out on top in the end, I find myself as Deathstroke. I'm a big fan of him as a character, but it really irks me how easy it is to accidentally slash people when trying to kick them. We've all been there, fighting with our friends or siblings, and suddenly out of nowhere and completely by accident, you're ripping them to shreds with a sword. It may be a common problem for us all, but I certainly hate it. Especially sucks since Shazam is putting up a way better fight this time. If only Martian Manhunter would lend a hand instead of just floating uselessly in the background. I'm not bitter about it, but if I had a match right now, I'm making no promises I wouldn't light everyone's favorite Martian on fire. And as for Wonder Woman?
An obsolete race with predictable techniques.
Well, I'm not sure I should be insulting her techniques when I have the most predictable one ever. But hey, after losing twice, I do win, so I think I might agree with Deathstroke here.
I'm not impressed.
Back as Batman, I find myself losing every fight once before winning on the second go. Injustice, I believe, has an adaptive difficulty scale that seems to make my enemies perform worse after multiple defeats to them, as far as I can tell. I have no clue how many defeats this takes to activate, or if it carries over from fight to fight, but I sure hope not. I chose medium difficulty, game. I like to keep it that way, not get easier. Let me suffer. It builds character, supposedly. This main change makes every win feel suspect, though I think, or at least hope, most of my wins are due to the counter of attack till they block, pull back, block, then repeat until I win. It's a simple strategy, but when I only have one move, simple is all I got. At least I have Lex Luthor here to make the fights incredibly easy as my favorite character to play as. His massive size makes it quite simple to punt away all my troubles, whether that be the Clown Prince of Crime or Shazam. Not a single one of these fights gives me any real trouble. When Lex Luthor dies, a part of me dies with him. The winning part, that is. Doesn't matter that I'm the fastest man alive if Solomon Grundy keeps tanking through my hits and grabbing me for massive damage. Grundy is without a doubt the most annoying fight of the game, being I can't do too much to counter his attacks since he ignores my one move and I can't seem to block him. I only manage to win when I say screw it, and I just have to strive to out-damage him before he can do it to me. No strategy here, just endlessly hitting and praying, which somehow always ends up being my go-to move in every single game. At least Sinestro and Green Arrow both go down first try, even if barely. A win is a win, which is not what I'd call trying to block Bane's machine gun fire. Who the heck gave the super strong crime lord a frickin' gun? It says something that Bane is much more of a threat than the god of war himself. Once again, going down without any real trouble. At this rate, I elect him to become the new god of broken ankles instead. The same goes for the fight with alternate Wonder Woman. The game switched me to using Sword and Shield for this battle, and it makes all the difference, allowing me to easily best my evil twin. You'd really think if anyone could see my moves coming, it would be the one with the exact same moveset. But I guess not. Nothing like Batman getting into an argument with the one guy he can't out-argue, Batman. Instead of them shouting, "I'm Batman," endlessly to each other, as I would prefer, we solve our disagreement the only way supers know how. I didn't realize tasing and running over someone is a reasonable reaction to a civil disagreement. But I'll have to remember that next time someone disagrees with me on what to get for dinner. If you think that's bad, enjoy this view of Superman stopping Black Adam from chucking cars at him by doing the most heroic thing possible. Blowing the cars up? Jeez, Clark, these aren't cars that are empty and parked. Black Adam is literally grabbing cars driving by, which means people are in them. Didn't we come here to stop Superman from murdering people? I guess he can't slaughter everyone if we beat him to it. Genius! I barely beat Black Adam, but then I very much don't beat Aquaman or Doomsday. These two absolutely destroy me and everything that I am. Doomsday I get, but I wasn't expecting this from Aquaman. I don't even hate on Fishboy like most people do, but still wasn't expecting quite this much of a beatdown. Both fights consistently tear me to shreds, and honestly, I think I beat them both only because they begin to feel pity on me and take it easy until I can win. Really not how I want to win, but I guess that's how it goes sometimes. At least evil Superman's fight, while brutal the first time, still seems pretty brutal the second. As much as Wicked Me burns my health bar away, he's also easily confused and misses plenty too. But I really need him to stay still before the timer runs out. With the time so low, I lose all caution and just spam as fast as I can, barely winning with 3 seconds left. Dramatic finish for the win! Huzzah! I've beaten Injustice's story with only one move after 55 defeats over 5 hours and 9 minutes. To give that clarity, there's 49 total fights in the story, so not the best ratio. Maybe one of my dumber challenges, but I had to know if it was possible. Thank you all for finding out with me. Now go have fun going mad with power. Try not to destroy too much of the city. See you later, friends.